It's cold.
It is foggy. It is cold. It is Wallingford.
We had frost last night.
Actual frost.
And we didn't have our fire on yesterday or today.
So, actually pretty cold. Luckily, somebody had accidentally turned on the timer on the Eberspacher, so it kicked itself in.
Yeah, but not early
kept
enough.
us from freezing to death.
You could have kicked it in like maybe an hour earlier.
We're going to try and get to
Somewhere.
Dorchester? Which one is it?
Dorchester.
Long Whitnam. But it depends, because we have to get around a really big sort of peninsular type thing.
And there's a couple of locks.
Yes.
And it's just too cold.
It's too cold. And the dog is proving to be impossible to have at the back while we go through locks and everything. At least these big Thames locks.
When we're mooring, it's really hard as well. What did the dog do this morning?
The dog this morning found what I'm calling peanut butter. He found something on the ground that looked delicious and brown. And then he was walking along licking the tops of his chops, trying to clean out the peanut butter. So
I feel ill.
Yeah, but a doggy toothbrush is in order. I'm freezing. Can we go now? Okay, all right. We're on our way.
It's not going to warm you up to go.
No, I know. I'm going to sit at the back and freeze even more. It's just that I'd like to freeze in motion instead of freeze.
Days Lock, and apparently here is where the
International Annual Blue Sticks Championship
happens every March. But I don't know if it's this little bridge. Like, it doesn't seem wide enough.
I've no idea. I've never seen somebody play blue sticks.
Haven't you?
Still sounds horrifying.
We'll have to play. As we arrived, the lockkeeper was going off duty, so he opened it for us, but it means we had to do the rest of it in self-serve mode, which takes 20 minutes to fill. So, extremely exciting slow motion water. Very exciting. Abingdon. We came up 2 days ago. We weren't planning to come all this way, but the moorings we found on the way at a place beginning with C.
Not on the way, on the Thames. Got her.
They weren't very nice, and they were £10.
Yeah, it was £10 for a night at basically a trailer park.
Caravan site.
Is that what they're called? Caravan site? And yeah, it just didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so even though we were freezing, we decided to come to Abingdon and then have 2 nights in Abingdon, which was such a good choice because
it's a beautiful little town.
Yeah, really nice town, loads of history, moorings for miles, free moorings where you can stay for 5 days.
Yeah, and, which is just by the way, a good idea to all you other towns.
Reading, take note.
Yeah, it's really nice. There's like a beautiful park. There's loads of walks to do, nice scenery, and the town is
Like,
kind of compact, but like really nice.
It's not the place to come if you want to go shopping, but we don't want to go shopping.
No, went walking in an old abbey that was destroyed years and years and years ago. But
that Henry VIII again?
Henry VIII. There's sort of nothing remaining, although there is a folly that's been built recently, or relatively recently. It's 1800s, I guess it's not that recently. Anyway, that's been built to look really old, but basically it's just a bunch of gardens that are really quite nice and pleasant, and lots of children running around, and a fart of bulldogs.
Oh yeah, we saw all these bulldogs, and I was like, what's the collective noun for bulldogs?
Looked it up, and there isn't anything that I could find that was like super specific. And then this one guy was like, "We're defining it as a fart of bulldogs."
And they'd named all these other ones. So there was, what were the pugs?
It's a grumble of pugs.
A grumble of pugs, a flash of greyhounds.
A flash of greyhounds, a grumble of pugs, and a fart of bulldogs.
And there was about 20 other ones, but they didn't have a collective noun for Springer Spaniels.
An explosion of spaniels.
Yeah.
Or something. Anyway.
So yeah, we had really nice 2 nights here.
A coil of spaniels.
Yeah.
Beautiful town, really nice. Bit chilly this morning.
Really cold again.
Really cold.
And
moving on.
4 hours to Oxford.
And 3 locks.
4 locks.
4 locks? Pretty sure. I was looking at the book. It's got 3 locks before the moorings. Then there's a 4th lock just above them. Bear with.
1. 2.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, I see. That's where you're. Never mind. Yeah,
3.
4. She's right. 4. A smug of Joe's.
Did I mention it was cold?
It's cold. It's very cold.
Let's go.
We made it into Oxford this morning.
I've decided that that's my favourite bit of river.
Ah, the Thames up to Oxford from
Abingdon.
Abingdon. Yeah, that was pretty nice.
It was just beautiful.
Yeah, it was the river itself was gorgeous, and there was no traffic, and it was bleeding cold.
3 boats the whole day.
Yeah. Not too many locks. So we did go up the deepest lock north of the Teddington on the Thames, 8 foot something, and that went way faster than I thought it would. Like we were in, we were up, and I was like, that happened really quick.
That lockkeeper complimented me on my rope throwing.
That was very good rope throwing. My rope throwing today was terrible.
That's pretty bad.
There was a knot. Anyway,
Excuses.
In the river. So yeah, we drove through some gorgeous countryside, past the Swift Ditch, which was the early canal that was built sort of to run past Abingdon.
And then what was that nuclear thing you were banging on about for?
The nuclear thing I was banging on about. So it turns out
I got a science lesson.
that near to Abingdon is the Joint European Torus, which is a fusion experiment that's been running since the 1980s. Basically, it was like the first successful fusion generator that actually made electricity. But yeah, it's a big step towards, a future in which we will all have little fusion units sitting on the back of our DeLoreans that will allow us to travel back in time. And then we got into Oxford itself.
It was weird coming into Oxford because it didn't feel that built up, but there's all these like little terrace houses that front onto the river.
As the river goes in, there's a couple of little smaller streams that take off and everything. There's of course the big rowing club, but it never really feels built up until just really...
I'm not even here.
Really just in that little section around the Folly Bridge. And then it went back to being kind of riverine and everything. And then just here at the lock below us, it got kind of industrial looking. Then we come up and it's just kind of a nice little area and sort of little residential place.
So Michael's done a little bit of touristing this afternoon.
I was going to go straight off to the Ashmolean. It's closed on Mondays. So
that's really disappointing.
Yeah, so there went that idea. I turned up and went to the Natural History Museum, and the Natural History Museum had a great big Tyrannosaurus. That's an iguanodon behind me. And over here, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Pretty cool place. It's all casts and stuff. It's like recreations of actual fossils. Amazingly large creatures and amazingly small creatures. And a dodo. The dodo, which I was really looking forward to, was just a cast. So you can't see any of the original parts of the dodo, which was kind of sad. They have a bluefin tuna. It's the entire skeleton of a bluefin tuna. It was brought over on a sailing ship by one of the founders of the college from, I believe, Japan. On its way, the crew thought that the box was a coffin and that they were having all these unlucky problems due to the fact that the coffin was on board because it's bad luck to have a dead body on the ship. So they wanted to throw it overboard, and eventually the owner had to be like, look, it's not a coffin, and nobody would believe him. So he opened it up and had to show them the fish, so they would look at it and go, okay, yes, it's actually a dead fish. Now we feel really bad about it, and though the ship nearly did sink on its way into England, the crew fought to keep this box intact and to get the fish to its home of the Natural History Museum because they were so embarrassed about their kind of superstition around a dead fish. But the skeleton was actually really amazing. Like, it's just beautifully dissected and it's there as this like complete fish. It's just absolutely stunning. Then I went into the Natural History Museum's. It kind of abuts on a archaeology and anthropology museums. I didn't realize they were attached, so I just sort of walked into it by accident. Pitt Rivers Museum.
Someone recommended that we went there.
No, good. Pitt Rivers was really pretty cool. It had samurai swords and samurai armor and a whole thing of weaponry, which was really weird watching this extremely excited guy walking around with his two daughters being like, see this sword here? If you put 4 people side by side, you could cut right through all of them with this sword. And the girls were like, ooh, cool! They were being shown like various other implements of causing murder and death. And then went downstairs and there's a whole bunch of stuff on like body modifications and things. And there was another section related to like art history and human representations and stuff. It was really interesting looking at it all going, this is fascinating. This is like cultures of the entire world that have been robbed and brought here.
So Michael had an interesting afternoon.
Yeah. Then I went to the Oxford Castle and the Oxford Covered Markets. Everything in Oxford is called the Oxford something. I noticed that.
Well, it can't just be the Natural History Museum because there's one in London.
No, I know. It
has to be the Oxford Natural History Museum.
Right, but like it's, there was a bar called the Oxford Nag's Head. I was like, I kept expecting to see something that said the Oxford Dictionary Club or something like that. It's like, the Oxford Dictionary's from here. It's very strange.
So did you wish you had an extra day?
Yeah, I actually do.
Wednesday's our last day on the Thames.
The Thames. So Wednesday morning I might have to run to the Ashmolean as soon as it opens.
But yeah, we're really glad that we got a week-long license for the Thames. Like, because doing it in 2 days would have been really rushed, especially with the clocks going back and having to be like moored up by 5 at the very latest. There's too much to see to rush it. It's beautiful to cruise through, and like every place we've stopped has been really interesting.
And there's moorings in most of these places that are quite accessible. On the Thames moorings, you might have to pay that £5 a night for the extra couple of nights, but you can stay for, I think, up to 3 days. Time.
I mean, it's October and it's pretty empty, so it might not be so easy in summer, but still.
We met a couple of people who were like, oh, you can do it in 2 days. And it's like, yeah, you can do it in 2 days, but I'm so glad we didn't.
Next time we will be back on the canal, but the Oxford Canal.
This is the end of this video. Standing here in my slightly too small Wellingtons.
Why did you buy them this? Too small?
No, they're big enough that I can wear them with the little sock insert things, but if I wear socks and the inserts, then it's too small. Anyway, here's the deal. Not used to Wellingtons at all, so as the boat rocks right now, I'm consistently going, I'm gonna fall in the water, because there's no support.
Look how cold it is.
And then, yeah.
The boat's rocking quite a bit. Oh, it's really pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here. So we're going to try and run over these rowers back here from Oxford. This is a boat.
It's where the national poo tip.
I know that it's Winnie the Pooh, not, what obviously makes sense. But
That's not diesel, people.
We came down 2 days ago, and we came up 2 days ago.
And when we got to them, the first one of the morning was manned. So that was nice. The other ones were fairly simple.
No, there was two. We had 2 lock keepers and 2 without.
Yeah, so it was manned, and then unmanned.
No, it was manned.
Unmanned. Oh, yeah, right. The short one was unmanned.
Mm-hmm.
And an Asian elephant and an African elephant, skeleton. And
What is it called?
the something.
Okay, we need to stop talking now.
All right, I'm done talking.
I'm really tired.
Also, we have a toothbrush for George.
these are the Oxford covered markets. They are covered in their markets. So that green hill behind me is what remains of Oxford Castle, built in 1066, I think it said. A Motte and Bailey castle, which was basically a hill in which stuff was placed. There was a well at the top of it and everything, and then there would have been a keep up top there, none of which still exists. Motte and Bailey. Also known as Hangman's Hill, but no one was ever hanging up there, apparently.